Welcome students, I am Dr. P.K. Bhattacharya. Today we will discuss on user education. Now as you know that user education is very important component of any library field, any library profession, and as a student one should know why user education is required and how user education can benefit at in the long run. Now in this particular session we will learn why user education is required, and we will understand what is user education, their objectives, concepts behind it, what components it consists of, how they have been developed over the years, and different methods of user education, online user education process and evaluation of course. Now why user education is required? Now you can see in the left hand side these two photographs. In the first photo you see that a lady is lost in the books, whereas in the second photo you can find that the person is reading it and with a smiling face. So this means when you are actually educating user how exactly they should find books, how they should actually use their education or use their learning to use library, so that actually helps them. Now user education is required because of information explosion. So many information across the world is now we are having, and many of them are not accessible, or you don't know, even user don't know even where exactly they should go and what kind of information sources they should follow. Plus added is that user interest expectation has changed a lot over the years. Now queries or the requirement with which they approach library have different now. Intensive interaction with the user library professional can do as part of this user education system. User empowerment is one of the most important tool today, because with all queries, if user pour into the libraries, it's absolutely not possible for librarians to handle. So important thing is that you empower users to such an extent that many of the queries they can solve themselves, and then you will get only the important or rather filtered queries through which you can get a satisfied set of users. Library image definitely will be built as part of this intensive user education and satisfied users, and collaborative learning is possible because since many users are empowered, so they can collaborate with each other sitting in the library or even remotely, they can actually get the requisite information what they are requiring. Now when you see the defining need of user education, so first of all let us see what is user education in terms of its definition. So user education is a process or a program to aware and motivate the potential users of value of different information system, what kind of services you can provide, all these, and encourage use of information resources. So that's basically the by definition user education means. So information is available in many formats, different storage system. Users may not be well acquainted with the formats or the storage systems or the features. So user education will help them to get along with all those kind of resources. Various information sources are available. Many sources user doesn't know. So as a library professional, it's important to make them understand what are the type of sources we are dealing with. Internet has provided an opportunity of online publishing, and therefore you are getting huge lot of information sources across the globe from different part of, and most importantly along with this online publishing, authenticity is one of the important component which sometimes is missing. So, user education will help a user to understand that which document to rely on and which should not be. Availability of digital information definitely helps user. So, how to access those digital libraries or digital resources is one of the important component. So, in the objective part I have already discussed many of the things. You can just go through this once more, like user education is concerned with the information communication process, like how a library user will communicate with the information provider, information supplier or the library professional. So, that interaction. So, this is what is user education is all about. It is a continuous process, means every day user will learn something and will be further empowered. So, that is how we think user education should be, and it actually guides and instruct existing user individually or in a collective group form, like to recognize what is their user needs, formulate these needs in the form of different queries, using information services efficiently to resolve these queries, and then assessing these services also, that whether these library services are good or require improvement, all these things. Now, in the user education concept, we have two terms, both are important. One is library orientation and library instruction. So, in the next few slides, we will learn about what is library orientation, how it helps, how it is delivered to users, and what is library instruction and what way it helps users. Now, first of all, let us see what is orientation means. Orientation is actually when you are making your user aware about different types of library services, like organization, layout, facilities available in the library, what kind of objectives they can expect or service they can expect from the libraries, and different type of feelings, different type of attitudes you can probably think that user might be having, and accordingly prepare your library services to resolve those issues also. Create and helping image of library before the user, so that they always feel comfortable when approaching library, and then manage an environment of effective communication between the user and library staff. Now, it could be physical form, it could be online form. Now, physical form means you put different kind of library facilities, signage, smiling library staffs, and ambience, all those things actually give you access to the physical part of the user education. In the online part, you can create a video and audio, or maybe through website, library website, you can always give them one particular field of different kind, impart different field of knowledges. Now, it could be one-to-one basis. When a user approach you, so you are providing information or education to him or her, so that they can use that. On the other hand, it could be a group discussion also, means one-to-many, seminar kind of. So, like in libraries, whenever new person joins or new batch of students comes in academic library, colleges or universities, so library conduct user education or user orientation. So, there many people stand together and a person from the library actually tell them about different services and the facilities available in the library. Or sometime we can mix everything. Everything means you give people individual attention as well as group based discussion, both in physical form as well as in online form. So, these are the different aspects of orientations. Coming back to the instruction part, so there we will be focusing on learning the use of information resources available on the library. Means what are the resources, databases subscribed, or the books available, or the types of CDs, or maybe standards, whatever type of resources library is having. So what kind of information they can cater, and for what kind of information need, which resources to access. So that is a learning which library staffs are having. So user needs to be educated on this. So that is a first form of instruction from the library. Problem of information retrieval. Now we follow in the library different classification and cataloging system. Not necessarily users will be very much aware of that. So basically it's job of library professional to also put micro subjects in the different book racks, so that people, whenever they approach there, so they can retrieve information. This is just an example. Similar thing can be, you can formulate different search queries, how to formulate and what way one database to be searched. Not all database searches are same. So different type of queries needs to be formulated, and different databases require different kind of search techniques. Both the printed form as well as the online databases, printed form of resources as well as the online databases, they require different kind of search techniques. So which are told in different other classes, but such search techniques users should be aware of, so that they can search by themselves. It's not necessarily that every time library staff needs to provide support to them. So that's where user empowerment comes into play. Similarly, teachers, senior librarians to share their experience, how rewarding it was to use those library resources, or how beautifully the libraries are arranging their documents through different signages, through different library brochures, audio, video tools, etc., or different kind of web-based resources. So, these are the experience sharing which will help other users to understand, who are approaching that library, to understand what kind of library resources they are expecting, they can expect, and what way they will be able to provide, library will be able to provide help. So that is one of the important thing. And even in instruction also, as I was mentioning you, information services or user educations basically related to these information services could be mixed. Like you can have signages in your library, also you can educate user through brochure, or through library videos, etc., or through library website, or through different type of user searching techniques, etc., kind of booklets, etc., you can provide, or such type of audio or video tapes you can put on the website for users. So it is a mixture of all things are also possible. Now, one of the most primitive service what is provided from the library is bibliographic instruction, where whenever user are approaching any library, so they should know what kind of resources are available, different sources they should look for. So bibliographic instruction actually impart that kind of knowledge, where bibliography are available to users and they can actually access the full documents. So this is another type of way of providing knowledge to users. Development of skills of users to understand this bibliographic instruction. Now it could be on reference works, it could be on indexing and abstracting periodicals, or it could be on library catalog, or could be on different search strategy, different subject analysis. Means whenever a user approaching library, so whenever they are getting any bibliographies, these bibliographics they should be able to understand, because this bibliography will consist of these many types of reference works or different types of documents or resources what is available in the library. From that perspective, we have to consider this bibliographic instruction. Now, user education has over the year historically developed. Now, first of all, in 1934, library college was actually was a term used or developed. The main reason was that how effectively library can provide learning to different users. Now, here learning means how effectively libraries can support users, so learning on that matter. So, library college was the first thing initiated in the terms of library user education. Later on, during 1958, Bonn in his book on training laymen in the use of the library, so there actually, and thereafter in 1964 also, during this period many experts in the library field, they have brought out several publications where users are taught how exactly they should use library. But believe me, these all were very interesting book, and people use those books quite voraciously. They read those books and they understood the value of library accordingly. In UK and Asia, several institutionalization happened for user education. In 1976, UNESCO UNICIST program, so that actually conducted a different series of seminars where national information policy, so they have actually framed and they put user education as an important component in that. 1979 to 85, several USA and European organizations, they actually conducted several conferences to make people aware of this user education thing. And in India, back home, INSTOC, DRTC, IARI, they conduct similar series of user education seminar, conferences, and created different tools or different set of booklets, etc., to understand or to empower user regarding library services. So this is how library user education has developed. After that, when internet came into being, so user education has taken a long leap into the online user education, which will be considered in later stage of this presentation. Now, user education strategy, if you see, there are few impactful factors, because that actually such kind of education empower users, they become motivated, they can do several types of activities with the support of library staff, understand the value of library services, type of information resources, and of course, library receive feedback of users so that their programs they can modulate accordingly. So these are the impactful few factors which one has to consider while user education strategies they are framing. Similarly, teaching instruction, if you see that there could be group instructions, as I have discussed before, that several type of instructions are possible. Similarly, individual instructions are available also, and it could be a combination of both type of information is also feasible. Now, let us come to the teaching methods, how exactly we provide user education. It could be through group or individual instructions, or specifically for individual, like lecture mode, seminar, tutorial, guided tour, audio, video, or slide based presentation, different films, illustrations. These we use for group or individual instruction, providing to empowering users. Similarly, individual instructions, you see that book or printed guide, or maybe some practical based exercises, one-to-one understanding of users becomes quite easy. Then programmed instructions, which is already pre-decided, few set of planning for each group of users or each user. Similarly, self-instructional material like tours, signs, etc. So all these things are different kind of teaching methods for user education. Now let us discuss on some of these. One of them is lecture method. Here you can see that a lady is actually addressing a group of people where she is actually delivering a lecture. It could be either through audio or visual sensory mode, because you are actually you can hear and you can also see demonstration what she will be putting there. So this is how lecture mode actually help users to gather information regarding libraries. Now advantage is what? That it provide an opportunity for different kind of personalized interaction with the faculty. Similarly, feedback is possible, used for, or if you have any queries, it can be solved then and there. Used for a mature group, means those who understand library, but for beginners it could be difficult to understand, or maybe for young adults it could be difficult to understand, but for a mature group lecture mode is very formidable proposition. And then the suitable for providing a general introduction, means if you want to provide introduction about your library, how it is functioning, what are the resources, where it is kept, how it is arranged, and what type of services is available, everything you can in general tell people. Disadvantage is that everybody cannot, receptivity of everybody's are not same. So everybody cannot understand what the faculty is saying. So some could be laggard in that case. Repetition of this thing is not possible. Now you can record it and can replay it, but the kind of the feeling one get in a personalized interaction, that repetition is not possible without printed handouts. So if you have deliver some printed handouts, only then this could be having a long tangible value. And unsuitable method for conveying bibliographic data, because without practical demonstration, bibliographic data nobody can understand. So that's the reason lecture method cannot convey what is bibliographic data and how it should be prepared, or how it should be used, how it should be they can themselves use this bibliographic data. Now seminar, tutorial or demonstration has definitely, for small group, this is very advisable proposition, provide opportunity for active involvement, because here you are actually demonstrating or whatever services library is having. Facilitate demonstration on specific tools, each and every activities you can demonstrate them. So it becomes much more receptive to the group of users whom you are actually approaching. Difficult to explain use of various specific tools otherwise in absence of demonstrative material. So demonstration has definitely far more advantageous for small group of students or users, particularly those who are not so matured. Disadvantage is that it's for a larger group demonstration is not possible, or presenting in tutorial form is not possible, because many of them will not be similarly many of them may not understand it, or they might not be able to ask you questions. So such type of problem is happening, and also not suitable for remote users, because of course we can do it through video conferencing and all, but that effect will not be there. So for remote users demonstration is a bit difficult. Guided tour is most traditional approach of libraries. Here a library professional actually take a group of users and take a round in the library and show them what exactly is arranged and what type of services one can expect from library and so on. Whenever orientation of that nature is done, so it gives library users a feeling of how actually they are inside the library and they can use the library. Disadvantage is that it's a burden to library because you have to after all carry on that tour physically. Audio visual method is of course useful. Different mode of communicating materials are developed, and that ensures flexibility, constant availability and easy to update contents. So that gives a plus point for audio visual things. Videos and films are these days prepared particularly for online educations and all. So there this video, even without going into library, you get a full idea of how exactly library arranged their material, and you can also get a look and feel of library resources on your own, even sitting in the remote user, particularly at this stage when many of us cannot visit to library. So this is most useful methods. Now these are some examples I have shown from University of Cambridge, where such video films are there. Now programmed instruction is predefined set of instruction which are basically carried out for users so that their learning process happens. They can practically use those resources, how to use those resources, and they can learn in their own pace. So this is a very small group or individual people. Such kind of methods are also used. Science and information graphics are very much useful in libraries because they actually directional type and give users a very great method of use fullness for the library, easy to comprehend by the user. So these are some examples I have shown you where some library have shown how signages can be useful. Now individual instructions could be there, how reference desk can be used. In the online user education system, since there are a lot of e-journals and databases are available, resource availability has increased much. So functioning of different systems, efficient use of different systems, user should know. And groups involved who are actually using this user education, that is very interesting that people get acquainted with all those users, all those information providers like database producers, system operators, library professionals, everybody. So online user education actually provide a scope for further user awareness and user empowerment also. So that information searches they can carry out even in sitting in a remote remote place, and specialized training and orientations are done for this. Now these are some examples of how online information search are done by different in different user databases. I have given you some examples on that. Now any user education program should be evaluated to measure the potential and the factors, whether users are happy with that exam or not. So such kind of feedback systems are there. So there are different kind of psychometric methods, sociological management method, or different responsive methods people follow to evaluate user education system. Now when you see the impact, so it actually helps, coming back to the again main portion of the user education, it helps to understand library arrangement, kind of knowledge library can provide you, and so as to develop your own knowledge sense also, and empowered yourself as a user so that you can search on your own library resources and interpret your own need properly, develop awareness on search techniques, and hence your skills will be developed. Collaborative discussions therefore become a real objective of the user education these days, particularly in a period of time when users are more, or they want to get more information from libraries these days with complex queries. So their discussion is one of the important component, and with empowered set of users, such collaborative discussion is quite feasible. Thank you.